I'll have to know then, exactly. Okay, well, we
Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, folks? Oh man, okay, so I tried to fix my I tried to fix my camera to show less of my ceiling, and I don't know if it's gonna stay there. I hope it does. I can't go any lower than this. Alright. What up, y'all? Just FYI, Ray, we cannot hear you. I don't know if you know that. If you are working on it, no problem. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Oh, I think I can hear now. I can hear you. All right, what up, y'all? Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. What up, y'all? Smalls here. My pronouns are she, her, coming to you from Chumash and Tonga land, otherwise known as Southern California or Los Angeles, Greater Los Angeles area. Technically not in Los Angeles, but Southern California is all you need to know. Don't show up at my house. No, I'm just joking.
uh,
Up to the people. Well, I find my back.
all right. Satsuri Akal, I'm Ray. My pronouns are he, him. I'm presently coming to you from Ute Mountain Ute, or North Arapaho land, also known as Colorado Springs, Colorado. There we go.
Oh, God. Okay. What I missed? Okay.
Nothing, just the introduction.
All right. Thank y'all for joining us here at the intersection of Black and Sick, where we explore and cover all things at the intersection of culture and faith.
Yes.
Appreciate y'all for being here. If you're here tonight, I'm gonna tell you what we got coming up. So one of the first things we're gonna do is get into this Reddit story. Something happened over the weekend that I was involved in. Got me a whole bunch of downvotes, which I'm okay with once you hear the story. So we're gonna get into that Reddit story, which is gonna lead us straight into our theme for this month, our theme for Black History Month campaign. Despite the fact that this campaign has not exactly gone as planned or half planned or whatever, we still wanted to get to the point where we covered this topic, which is our love for Sikhi is stronger. And what do we mean by that? Despite the challenges, despite any of the not so pleasant, the not so positive aspects. Oh, excuse me for that plosive. The not so positive aspects of our experiences and our journey. There's a reason that we stick around. There's a reason that we continue to practice Sikhi. There's a reason that we continue to choose this faith practice for ourselves, and that is because our love for Sikhi is stronger, right? And I cannot thank Sorma enough for saying that, because I don't know. I know that at the time he didn't realize that this was going to happen, but he sort of gave us, and Ray, you can tell me if you agree or disagree, sort of gave us like the theme for the whole project, really, right? Which is
Yes.
our love for Sikhi is stronger, right? We came out the gate with I don't even want to say it was like super critical. It was just our story and our truth, which includes something, aspects that are not always positive, is not always sunshine and roses,
And if I might,
And hold on. Well, let me just. The reason I'm saying this is because we knew that based on what we had planned, that we needed to answer the question why we were doing this project. And so that's one reason we started the way we started. And then we had to follow that up with tokenism, because we wanted to emphasize that by no means are we trying to be the token, the representative of all Black Sikhs. And so because the schedule got a little off and wonky, a lot of the content so far has just been really sort of critical and shared the not so great aspects of our journey. And yet there's a reason that we do this. Like we said, when you love something, you are more critical of it, right? Because you care.
Mhm.
And that's how we feel about Sikhi. That's how we feel about our experience and our journey. And so we wanted to make sure that if nothing else, we get to the point where we are able to discuss our love for Sikhi and why we're here and why we continue to do the things we do and why we're open with our criticism and things of that nature. So, Ray, absolutely. I just had to finish that. So it was a complete thought and then didn't forget. We both have ADHD. So,
Yes. And I want to kind of tag along to something that you said too, because
Please.
I've actually talked to a couple of our viewers, and one that I spoke with specifically is something that I want to reiterate to all of our viewership to be aware of, is that when talking about these things, you have to realize that we're actually 100% aware, because a lot of our viewers have tried to say this. We're actually 100% aware that some of the things that we discussed as difficulties that we've had are not Sikhi. We're fully aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
And so some people, that sometimes
mean.
that's lost in translation. I've had some
Mm.
viewers that are like, that want to let, hey guys, this is so much more beautiful than this. These experiences that you're saying, this shouldn't have happened. These is bad. These are the people. And we're aware of that.
We
This
know.
is
We
the
know.
reason that we want to defend and explain why we love Sikhi, because we know that.
Yeah, absolutely. We are aware. If we thought that these experiences were because of Sikhi itself, because of the faith, I don't know that we'd be here, right? Because that would be a whole different story. But we are aware that we are humans and that people are fallible, and that this is not even something that is unique or specific to Sikhi, right? That's just people are people. And so even if you were able to design a religion that was even more or a faith practice that was even more perfect than Sikhi, right? As long as you have people practicing that faith practice or participating, you're gonna have issues, because we all have issues, and that goes for all of us. Like, we're not perfect. We're not perfect Sikhs. We're not perfect people. We're not perfect anything. So yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to get there. We wanted to make sure that not only before Black History Month comes to a close, but before we get into any of the changes that we have coming up, we got some major changes coming up with BLACKxSIKH, which we'll get into a little bit later. We wanted to make sure that if nothing else, we tell you why we continue to do this, why we continue to do this project. The other side of why BLACKxSIKH, and it's because of how much we care and how much we love Sikhi, and how much this faith practice, this journey has given to each of us, and in different ways, which I find awesome and fascinating. And I love hearing stories, love meeting other Black Sikhs. And I said this before when Storm and I were doing that I think it was like episode 2, where I said, as much as Storm and I have in common, we're so different. Like, we are wildly different. And I find that with Ray. Like, the moment I met Ray and we got to talking, we found out we had so much in common, from musical theater and to our background, to we're about the same age. So we're both millennials. And sorry about that. I cracked my knuckles in the mic. Didn't mean to do that. We have so much in common. So much in common, and we're so different. Like, I'm not gonna say we could not be more different. We probably could, but we are so different. But one of the really cool things, my bad, and put my phone on silent. I apologize, y'all. But one of the really cool things is, like, I love exploring those differences. I love that we are able to teach each other things. Working with you, Ray, has been a joy. It has been the light in the tunnel for me with this project and this madness. I've learned a lot about myself. I appreciate your patience. No, I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but because there's plenty of things I could say, but I do appreciate it. And that was only possible because of our differences, because of how different we are. You sort of pulled me to the middle, and our neurodivergency manifests in different ways, which I find really cool and fascinating. And because we seem to be a magnet for neurodivergent folks, which I'm not mad about. All right. Anything else? We're gonna hop into this Reddit story, this Reddit situation. You want to hop right in? Okay. Now this is gonna be tough because I'm gonna share my screen, but Oh gosh. Oh goodness. See that there? I'm not gonna be able to see StreamYard. So Ray, you're gonna have to oh, you can't man it. Oh goodness. We don't have can't man. Okay. Well, I'm gonna share it and we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna hope for the best. Goodness gracious. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. Try not to. Okay, here we go. Ray, can you see the Reddit page?
Let's see. I don't see it yet. No.
I still see me. Okay, let me try this. Let me try something else. Let's try. Oh, I can do that. Oh, beautiful. All I had to do was separate my screen and not. Okay, I get it. I mean, separate my Firefox browser thingy. Never mind. Okay, here we go. And now I think I may actually be able to use StreamYard while we do this.
Oh, oh, Lord. Here we go.
You see it now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And I think, oh yeah, cool. Because now, I'm just making sure I can see. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to read this story, and what we're going to talk about isn't completely relevant. So I'm going to kind of like breeze through the story for the most part. I just kind of want you guys to get a context for this. Okay. So is it homophobic to think being gay is wrong? Okay, so this person needed advice. It says, a boy in my class has been telling me being gay is wrong. I'm openly pansexual. That's what the OP says, the original poster. And when another kid asked why I didn't like him, I said it was because he's homophobic and I'm gay. I didn't report the boy because it's a pretty common thing in my school. Probably half the school are in some way homophobic, and it doesn't bother me a lot. But he keeps on telling me that I'm lying about him and that he's not homophobic because he doesn't hate gay people. He just thinks being gay is wrong. Okay. Excuse me. I don't know. It really confuses me. But so far, all my attempts to get him to see how thinking that is inherently homophobic have failed. And every time I explain it, he just seems more confused and stubborn. LOL. I'm kind of doubting if he is being homophobic because he might be right. The definition is to be afraid of, hate, or discriminate against gay people. But it seems pretty homophobic to me to think being gay is wrong. Edit, thank you for all the upvotes, blah, 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 blah. And this is just some additional things that they clarified. He thinks it is wrong, quote unquote, as in it is a sin. I've heard him say before that it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. To my knowledge, he isn't actually very religious, and I'm pretty sure it's just an excuse. Second point of clarification. I know he's a bad person. I was pretty sure he's being homophobic. He makes other jokes, quote unquote, about other similar things and is generally an a-hole. And I normally just ignore him or tell him to F off. Third point of clarification. To be honest, I was mostly asking for the purpose of winning this argument. His entire defense is based on him not hating gay people, quote unquote. So if I can prove that his views are hateful, that would destroy that argument. Unfortunately, I doubt he would change his opinion no matter what I said. I'm also stubborn. I wanted to win the argument. Okay, so that's that. Now, if in your mind, when you heard this and they said, let me go back to what was the line that really is usually what triggers this thought. Let me see. It is inherently homophobic. Let me see. Okay, so they talk about the initial definition, right? I don't know if he's being homophobic because he might be right. The definition is to be afraid of, hate, or discriminate against gay people. But it seems pretty homophobic to me to think being gay is wrong. Well, most people would hear that and immediately default to an example involving Black people and race.
Mm-hmm.
If when I gave that story, for those of you listening, that was your immediate thought was, oh, well, I mean, if you wouldn't say that about Black people and not be considered racist or not be considered anti-Black. That's exactly what we're talking about here. The question is, why are we the default, right? Now, yes. I'm not logged in, so I don't think I'll be able to find my comment in here. But somebody immediately, I'm just scrolling. I'm scrolling. Oh, whoa. I happen to find it. This is actually where I'm at. I'm not racist, but I think Black people are inferior. See how it sounds? I hate this response. Now, why is that? You will see here that I responded, why do y'all always jump straight to Black people as your example? 25 downvotes. That's fine. 25 downvotes. You be mad about it. Okay, I don't care. Because that is a valid question. Why do folks always default to Black people and race as the example to prove something about queerness or to prove something about whether or not, being gay is wrong or any other type of discrimination, why do y'all default to Black people? Why
Yep.
are we doing that? One, not only is race discrimination not a good one-to-one comparison to queer discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think it makes Black people feel to just be scrolling along through a post about LGBTQ issues? They mention nothing about Black people in the post. This has nothing to do with Black people. And I just see a whole bunch of examples of people using Black people as the default example to prove a point. I'm not racist, but I think Black people are inferior. So now I'm reading over and over, Black people are inferior. I hate Black people. I don't like Black people. Okay, I don't want to see that over and over. Why do people do this, Ray?
It says to me that you don't have enough knowledge, or you don't have enough information to support your own belief. I say that because here's another great example I've seen a lot recently.
Okay.
Because your argument was valid, but here's a great example. I've seen it
Is
in
it
some.
though? Go ahead.
Well, you'll see what I'm going for.
Okay.
Because
I'm listening.
definitely anti-fat phobia. That being said, I have heard people immediately go, when they hear someone say something that's fat phobic, they go, that's racist because Black women. I'm like, wait, pause. You
Huh?
can actually criticize the wrongness of body shaming, fat shaming, and everything else, but to immediately go, because Black women, like, what? Why are we doing that? And I've heard that a lot recently.
I don't get it. The other thing I want to say, as somebody who is both Black and queer, I promise you they are not the same things. I promise you they are not good one-to-one comparisons. Like we said, we wrote recently and filmed an episode about Black hair, Ray and I, and we talked about signifiers, right? A signifier is a thing, anything that is observable that also conveys meaning in a particular cultural context, and that meaning can change based on context, whether it's historical
Mhm.
context, social context, whatever, right? Black hair is a signifier. Now, if you see me walking down the street, or you see a Black person walking down the street and they have locks, right? You think one thing maybe about them, you might come to some certain snap judgments. Back in the day, before locks were more popular, people made the assumption that you were super Afrocentric and you were more like Erykah Badu or Lauryn Hill, and you were burning incense at the house and just like super Pan-Africanism ideologies and maybe even a little Hotep, right? That was the assumption. And
Now
I
that
know
was true for
this.
me.
Well, I know this because that was not true for me, but I've had locks most of my life, right? And so the type of men that approach me and the way that they approach me is different when I have locks versus when I don't, right? There's this assumption that I'm Afrocentric because of my hair. It was a signifier, right?
Mhm.
Versus you see a Black person walking down the street and they have a weave, straight hair, straight weave, or they are wearing a wig. Now, even though that same Black person could be doing both, they could wear a wig one day and wear their locks out another day. The assumption or the meaning or their assumed identity is different based
Mhm.
on their hair, right?
Mhm.
Something that you can observe immediately right away. That is the same thing with race. It is something that is observable immediately right away. I walk into a store today, prime example. I've had an issue with having to get my medication. I've been dealing with that for the last few days. The pharmacist has been giving me a hard time. This is not new. So I went to a new pharmacy. My doctor, knowing that I've been dealing with this issue, sent my prescription to a new pharmacy. Like, let's get a fresh start. Okay. I hesitated to go in because I talked to the pharmacist on the phone. Bear with me. You're going to be like, you're probably like, what does this example have to do with anything? Bear with me. So I called the pharmacist on the phone and said, what are you going to need from my doctor to verify this prescription, to verify that it's a legit prescription? Da, 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 da. Like, what are you going to need? He tells me that the prescription gets sent in. Now, when it's time to go pick up my medication,
Mhm.
the pharmacist is still sort of trying to decide and go through everything and make sure it's a valid prescription. And I was hesitant to go in for him to see that I was Black, because if he hasn't yet met me, nothing in my profile says I'm Black. So he doesn't know that I'm Black yet. And he's still making a decision about whether or not he's going to fill my prescription. And I was so worried that him seeing I was Black might lean him towards not filling the prescription. That's not something you have to worry about when it comes to things that are not immediately observable, right?
Mhm.
Even if my queerness is a valid concern or worry, depending on how I'm presenting, you may never ever know. This pharmacist has no idea whether I'm queer or not. They know I'm Black. They know
Mhm.
I have locks and I had on a hat at the time, right? And I had on this sweatshirt. They know that much. So they can make assumptions and decisions based on that information, that is not the same as them making assumptions and decisions and possibly discriminating against me for things that they cannot observe yet. Now, once they find out, or if I'm wearing something that's like rainbow, which I never would, I don't wear rainbow stuff because I'm not gay, so it makes people assume that. But see, that's another point. I don't wear rainbow stuff because I'm not gay, and people don't understand that the rainbow is like an umbrella thing, and so they will assume that I'm gay, especially if I'm more mask presenting. Those are signifiers, right? And that is just one of many reasons that comparing something related to queerness or related to sexual orientation or lifestyle is not the same and will never be the same as race-related matters. It is not to say one is more important or one is, we're not playing the oppression Olympics.
Yeah, but
I'm
they're
just
different.
saying they're different. That's all I'm saying. They're different. The experience is different. It's just not a good one-to-one comparison. That's one reason. The other is, who wants to just randomly be hit with Black people are inferior, Black people suck, Black people this, Black people that, and you're just like, no warning, no nothing. I just get a ton of comments about, like, let's just go through. Ray, I don't know if you had anything you want to add to that. Let me see how many other ones
it's
I
one
can
of the
find with
things I
Black people.
mentioned when you briefly mentioned that we'd probably do something like this too. It's like one of the things that a lot of people like saying for a while, gay is the new Black. And it's like, yo, hold on, because Black ain't went nowhere. Like, you can't do that, my guy. Like, so
what does
are
that
you saying
mean?
the struggle is just the struggle is gone? Because it's not. So how can you just move into a space of something that's not even resolved?
Or what about when they say, when they'll say something like, this is the equivalent of the N-word, right? Like I saw today, I was watching a video,
No,
Rolly. I was
no.
watching a video by Rolly and Luxary. I don't know if you know them. They're two YouTubers from the UK or whatever. And they came across a thing. They have this like millennial, whatever, it doesn't matter. They came across a post that of somebody saying, boomer is a slur equivalent to the N-word. Somebody had the best like comeback for that, and I don't even know if it was a Black person who said it, but somebody was like, you know how I know they're not the same? The fact that you can say boomer but you won't even say the N-word. Like you're saying
Hello.
the N-word but you won't say nigga or Nigger. You won't even
Hello.
say that out loud, but you will say boomer. So every time they say X is equivalent to the N-word, where they will say the full word, right? Whether that is the slur for little people, dwarfism, the M word, which I'm not going to say. They'll say that. They'll say the F slur or something like that, right? But they'll say the actual. Those are probably actually terrible examples because those are, to me, are actual slurs. But like they'll say like boomer is a slur, or here's one. The one for TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminists. It's queer people or people who believe in feminism except for when it comes to trans people, right? So TERF, they'll say TERF is a slur akin to the N-word, but you're saying TERF, but you can't even say the N-word. Say both of them. Say both of them. If they're on equal playing field, say both of them. Why you can't say both of them?
Please show me one boomer or one TERF that's been hung from a tree. I'll wait. There's no history of oppression there, so I don't want to hear that.
Oh, well, there's that on that. But people want to be oppressed so bad, though. They want to be oppressed so bad. Anyways, I was just scrolling through, and of course now I can't find him. But this is the only reason I commented on that one, was because I had, it was about the fourth or fifth one that I had seen of somebody using Black people as the example, and I was just, and of course, I got down votes, and then the person was like, "Does it matter?" Yes, it matters. And anybody else who was sort of like, I won't even say coming to my defense, but like agreeing with me, they were getting downvoted too. Whatever, I can't say I don't care because I do care. It's just it wasn't enough for me to like, this is what somebody said. First marginalized group most people tend to think of, which in and of itself is a sad reality. I don't know why they didn't get downvoted, but they got 18 upvotes for that. What else they said? Oh, I don't know. Oh, this person I think was being sarcastic. I as being neurodivergent, I have a hard time telling, but this says that must be so hard for you to have to read your race being used as an example. I hope you're able to recover and find peace. That's why I think they were being facetious or sarcastic, because I don't know if it was that deep or whatever. But this has downvotes. This used to have upvotes. Does it matter? I said, yeah, it matters. I just said it does, but the fact that this is your response tells me who I'm dealing with, and that explaining any further would only be a waste of my spoons. Take care. And I meant that. They said something about failure to communicate, basically like, oh, whatever. Oh, and I hate when they do this. There are bigger enemies out there than to waste time squabbling amongst ourselves. you diminishing and
Power.
dismissing diminishing and dismissing a very real concern because there are bigger issues. Oh, that is
There's no we. Why are we using an hour? You are already
oh
showing me you an op.
op. Thank you. Op as in the opposition for those who don't know. Yeah, it's really rather annoying. I just tell you, this is somebody also said, honestly, I'm Jewish and I wish we got used as examples for this kind of thing more often, given that there are so many people denying that we face any kind of discrimination at all. It's validating to have it recognized. That being said, I'm only speaking for myself as I have no idea what it's like to be Black, so I won't speak for you. My response was, yeah, I get that. For me and many other Black people, it's, for the lack of better words, draining to constantly be the default and to have and have to see various examples of anti-Black racism over and over, no warning, on a topic that doesn't even have anything to do with Black people or race. Imagine scrolling through and then boop, Black people are inferior. I hate Black people over and over when you're certainly not expecting it because it's not related to the topic. Of all the examples that could be used, of all the various types of discrimination, we get to be the default, the example punching bag. And I supposed to say bag, not bad, my bad. And that's only one of the issues with defaulting to anti-Black racism as the example. It's not validating. It's exhausting and harmful and annoying, and confirmation that some folks do in fact think less of us when our feelings on the matter are so easily dismissed. This person using it. Yeah, this person used the example of Black people being inferior or whatever as an example. I'm now wondering, do they really maybe think that? Because when I bring up an issue as a Black person saying, hey, maybe don't do that, and your response is, does it matter? Get over it. Oh, you don't want to explain why? Too bad. When you could have just said, oh, I wonder why they care that we're using this as an example. Let me go Google why that might be the case. Or, hey, why does it matter? They didn't do any of that. It's just, does it matter? Oh, well, sucks. Get over it. We have bigger things to deal with. That to me makes it seem like you actually believe Black people are inferior, or that at the very least our feelings on the matter don't matter. So
you're not presenting you're not presenting in the way that they want a Black person to present. You need to be the type of Black person with the opinions that they want you to have, which unfortunately is commonly.
What you mean?
Well,
like
commonly, and I'm going to speak specifically for a lot of people that call themselves allies, that are the types that like to bring us up. Commonly, they expect a particular voice that aligns with what they want to say to come from us. And those so-called allies will sometimes argue with us about our experiences because they feel like they know more because they read some books.
Oh, absolutely. You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. So I said, it's not validating. It's exhausting and harmful and annoying, and confirmation that some folks do in fact think less of us when our feelings on the matter are so easily dismissed. On second thought, I suppose it is validating after all, just not in a way that is for me and many others. I say many others because we're not a monolith, and some Black people won't care, which is valid. And those who don't care don't cancel out those of us who do. Those of us who find it harmful. I just realized I didn't complete my sentence, but that's okay. It's not validating for in a way that for me and many others find helpful is what I was trying to say. Anyway, thanks for your response and for sharing your perspective. So, that's that. I just kind of wanted to, we usually open up with some sort of icebreaker, and I was going to do like an AITH, and am I the a-hole? But I was like, this would be a prime one. This just happened this weekend. And I just, I kind of want to hear Ray's take on it. I would love to hear anybody else's take. Let me see if anybody on Instagram has anything to say. I do be missing the comments. All right, no comments yet. Okay, cool. I haven't missed any. All right, great. All right, so, let's get into it. So, Ray, do you want to start? You want me to start? Just for anybody who's just joining us or who's joining us late, we are going to discuss. We're here to discuss the theme for not only Black History Month, but what I feel like is the theme for the project overall, which is our love for Sikhi is stronger. And again, this was inspired by something that Sorma said, one of our founding members, during an episode. He was talking about, he was sharing his experience converting. I think he said like 12, 15, he was like a Christian, and 12, something like that. You guys should go check it out. There's a clip on our social media, on Instagram and TikTok, as well as it's in episode 2, I believe, of our podcast At the Intersection. And he was just saying that like the fear of hell and damnation is real, right? Especially when you're raised Christian, especially for him, somebody who was raised Kojic. I don't know if you guys know or are familiar with Kojic, that denomination of Christianity. It is called Church of God in Christ. It is Pentecostal. It is heavy. It is deep. It is real close to fitting the bite model, i.e., being a cult. I'm not gonna call it that, but I do know some Kojic
Cult
churches very
adjacent.
much. It is very
Cult
much cult
adjacent.
adjacent. I know some Kojic churches are real close, and some do fit that bite model of culticism, ishiness, cultiness. Anyways, he was just saying that yes, the fear of hell and damnation is real, which is something that is instilled in you from day one when you are raised Christian, right? Everything is about whether or not you're going to heaven or hell, heaven or hell, heaven or hell. You got to do this, otherwise you're going to hell. You got to do this, otherwise you won't get in heaven. And there's a fear of hell and damnation. And hell is supposed to be this fiery, this place where you just suffer and it's fire, blah, 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 blah. And he just, I don't think he like prepared it. I think it was just right off the cuff where he was just talking about like, yeah, that fear was real, but my love for Guru Nanak was stronger. And him saying that, it was so profound and it hit me so hard when he said it, but it stuck with me and it continued to stick with me. And every time I heard it, it resonated with me so deeply. And even though for me, I don't know that it was Guru Nanak's story specifically, but it was Sikhi in general, what Sikhi gave me in general, that made me say, oh, I relate to that. I resonate with that. Like, yeah, is my love for Sikhi was stronger than my concern of going to hell, possibly, maybe, or whether or not I would get to heaven, possibly, maybe, or even the challenges and the issues that I face. Like maybe, practicing Sikhi requires this sacrifice or this sacrifice, but it's cool because my love for it is stronger than whatever small, negative, not so great thing has happened over here. And so we just wanted to share some of those stories, and we want to invite any of you who find this to be true. And this is something that you do not need to be a Black Sikh to share your story with this, because I think this is, Ray, tell me if you're thinking differently, but to me, this is something that applies to anybody.
Yes.
Because I've heard from my Punjabi Sikh friends who have had various issues with, whether it's Punjabi culture or the Sikh faith, reasons for leaving the Gurdwara or feeling like they're unwelcome at the Gurdwara, or, just having various issues. My point is, no matter who you are, and no matter what faith or religion that you practice, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be just 100% smooth sailing, no issues. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have things you reconcile. You're going to have things you have to figure out and interpret and so forth and so on. And I think the question has to continue to be, is your love for that thing, is your love for that practice, that religion, that journey that you're on, is it stronger than, does it outweigh the negative, the kind of more foolish things? And for us, it does, and it has continued. And so we want to hear from y'all. In what ways has Sikhi been, the good outweighed the bad? In what ways has your love for Sikhi been stronger than the not so great, not so pleasant things, for lack of better words? Ray, you want to start us off?
Certainly. I know I've talked about it briefly in the past. I've given a little bit of information about what led me to Sikhi, so I won't go into the full story, but cliff notes.
I was just about to say, give us a cliff notes for anybody who hasn't.
Yeah, I'll give you the cliff notes. So I did start out very much Southern Baptist Christian, raised in the church. It may be a little bit of the fact that I'm a little neurospicy as well, but I've always been a person that I don't have the ability when it comes to my beliefs to do it halfway, or to be what we called lukewarm. I've never been able to do that. If I believe something, then I'm all in. So I was that little boy that wanted to be at the church house.
Yeah.
I was that little boy that was there every Sunday. I was ready to go to Bible study. And I was probably one of the few kids that didn't have to get dragged to go to the other churches afterwards, because the other sister church was having a church anniversary and all of that stuff. I was going there. I was a kid. Oh, yes. I was a kid that they started having the youth Sundays. And so I gave my first sermon on the book of Revelations when I was a kid. And so I was in that thing pretty deep. But it's when I started getting older and coming into my own and figuring out myself that I started to find that a lot of things weren't compatible. And I also had a lot of questions, that because I'm a very inquisitive person, always have been. I mean, even when coming into Sikhi, I was very critical and trying to find all the things that I could find that were wrong with it. So I was that way in my faith as a Baptist Christian as well. And so there were so many things that I couldn't get answered. There were so many things that just didn't line up for me. And there were some things that in my heart of heart, I just couldn't resonate with.
Mm.
And so, I did go ahead and leave completely, and I was an atheist for a while. And honestly, if I wouldn't have found Sikhi, I probably still would be, because there's a lot of finalities, I feel like, in specifically Abrahamic faiths that just don't work for me. I have a hard time with the concept of this all-loving God, this all-seeing, all-knowing God, and things that created us, and you're telling me that everything's already planned out and he knows all these things, but then also telling me supposedly I have free will, but he knows these things already because they're already pre-written, but you're going to make these mistakes that he's preparing you to make already, and you're going to go to hell for him. Like, all of that was just like these mental gymnastics that you had to do. There was just too many things that didn't add up. And when I asked these questions, I was always met with, don't question God. And I'm like, I'm not questioning God. I'm questioning you.
I'm questioning you.
You're supposed to be
mean?
the expert on this. I mean, so why can't you tell me? Well, not all of them go to, of course, biblical colleges or anything like that, especially some of the ones that I went to in the hood. But some of them, you studied this. You went and you studied this. Why can't you answer these questions that are coming from this teenager?
Right. So what specifically, and then we do have a question here on Instagram that I would like for us to both answer from Jason80. But if you had to distill it down, what of all that you just said, what about that, like what made your love for Sikhi stronger? Like, if you had to distill that down into a single.
So when discovering Sikhi, the difference was the overall. I mean, let's take it initially to what it is to be a Sikh. It's to be a student. I am supposed to be learning. I am supposed to ask questions. That is a part.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. I get what you're saying. So you're saying, as opposed to you experiencing pushback as a Christian, where they're like, "Don't ask questions. You just listen to what I'm saying and just keep it moving. And if you don't understand, you'll maybe hopefully understand one day." Whereas with Sikhi, it's like, ask questions. Let's learn. Let's get to the root of it. Let's ask and keep asking and discover and keep exploring. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. Absolutely. And I would say that's not even something that I had thought about. And absolutely, I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I think that's true for me too. So we have a question from Jason80, who said, "How were you introduced / discovered Sikhi?" We won't go too deep into it because this is something we have covered, and so we won't get too deep into it. But we'll each share, Ray, if that's okay with you, we'll each share our experience of how we discovered it, how we were introduced to it, and then we do have another question, another comment from Gernor G999. "I love this, and I respect how you guys got into the Sikh faith." Okay, so I'm not sure if you've already heard the story, but Ray, do you want to go first? You want me to go first? We'll try to keep it like as brief as possible, like a 1 to 2 minute. Definitely. How were you introduced? How did you discover Sikhi? Because I think it's quite different for both of us. And actually, I just posted a clip. We just posted a clip today with Ray sort of talking a little bit about his introduction to Sikhi. So I definitely would encourage you to check that out. But in your own words, Ray, you wanna go first, or?
Yeah, sure. Quick cliff note. Cool. So basically, when I was an atheist and I decided, you know what, I'm over it. I still felt like there was something that was calling to me. There was something, some type of higher power or something. So I decided that I would go on a mission to check out different faith practices and stuff. And for a couple of months, I just went to different places. Even being in the military, I went with one of my Muslim friends to the mosque. I went to a Nation of Islam meeting. I went to a couple of places, and it was actually when I got to Colorado that I was actually getting ready to try to find a Hindu temple. And I put in that, but for whatever reason, what came up first was actually a gurdwara. And I was like, what is this? So I looked into it a little bit, and then I realized that I did have a reference point for a Sikh from back home, a sheriff that passed in the line of duty, which I mentioned on the clip that you put up. I did have a reference for that because I actually went to a service that was held in his honor because I was a firefighter in the district that he worked in. So I had a reference to a Sikh in my life, and so I did more. I did more research, and as I did more research, I realized that everything that it means to be a Sikh, everything that a Sikh is supposed to be, is exactly the type of person I've always strove is a word, right? Hold on. Yeah.
I don't
I've,
think so, but
okay, I've
the
always
person that you endeavored to be, yeah.
endeavored, there we go.
Mm-hmm,
Endeavored to be. Everything
mm-hmm.
about what it is to be a Sikh is what I've always endeavored to be, from service
Right.
to just everything about being a Sikh. So that's how
Nice,
I was
nice.
introduced.
Nice. Yeah. And like I said, we posted that reel. So if you want to hear it in like a quick 60 seconds, which I mean, it's actually really pretty close. So, anyways, check out the reel, drop a comment if you want to. So for me, how did I discover / how was I introduced to Sikhi? So I initially heard about it in high school. I went to religious schools my whole life, private schools. So it was either Christian or Catholic. I went to Christian school until I got Christian and Lutheran schools until I got to high school. And then I transferred to a Catholic high school. Religion classes were required, and I took a world religions course because curious. I like learning about stuff, and so I chose world religion as my religion course for that semester, and learned about Sikhi. Then I can't remember all of it, so I don't know if everything that I was taught was accurate or not. I just remember that was like my first time hearing the words and kind of hearing the basics of it. I also grew up in the Bay Area, so grew up around Sikhs, like it kind of in my perimeter, or I don't know what the right word is, but not too far from where I am, Fremont and Union City. There's a couple cities that has a huge South Asian population and a huge like Sikh population, and so was familiar with Sikhs. Whatever, even worked for a Sikh company. They Punjabi. I don't know if it's a Sikh company necessarily, but they sell Punjabi foods in the grocery stores. And as somebody who's a graphic designer, I helped work on their products and stuff. So I was around Sikhs, is my point. But it wasn't thinking anything of it. Like Ray, heavy into Christianity. Like if I'm in, I'm all in, and I was all in. I was on the kids step this, and I was in the kids choir, and I was in the. I mean, if it was available, I was in it. I was there. And then again, like Ray, started asking questions. Those questions couldn't get answered, or I wasn't getting satisfactory answers. Both from my dad, but also from the pastor. And then ended up going to a Catholic university. It wasn't intentional. It just so happened that I was originally going to school to do pre-med to be a doctor. Changed my mind about that, but by that time I'd already fallen in love with the school, and the school I went to is number one for sending Black students to medical school. So that's why I chose that school. Fell in love. When I changed my major, I decided to go to school anyway, and it just happens to be a Black Catholic university, only Black Catholic university in the nation. Okay, so again, had to take a religion course. Took a theology course, started learning about, and I'm so grateful for the professor that I had. He was the embodiment of learn this for yourself. If you're going to believe, if you're going to be a Christian or a Catholic, you need to know it inside and out, and you need to know it for yourself, right? And I mean, he was dedicated. His kids, his kids had some weird names like Gilgamesh or something like that. It was he was in it, right? But he really pushed us to learn more, to dig deeper, to find out about the translations, the historical accuracy of what we have. Why do we have so many different versions of the Bible? Why do Catholics use one version and Christians use a different one? Why do Jewish people use this? Like, it's all supposed to be one faith, but there's so many. He had us just deep into it. And the more I learned, the more I was like, wait a minute. And then I'm gonna try to make this quick. My niece came out, my nibbling came out as gay at the time. And then the way that my family reacted and responded to that, which should not have been a surprise based on who this child was for their whole entire life, the way that my family responded sort of triggered something in me that was like, what is this? I don't even recognize y'all. And they were, I don't want to say blaming it, but it was all about, well, Christianity says this, God says, it was all their religion was making them respond in this way, in a way that made me not recognize them as people, in a way that made me almost embarrassed or ashamed to be like, who are you? We're not those kind of people. Why would you speak like that? Like, I just couldn't recognize them. And that was sort of the final straw for me. It was like the catalyst that I needed to let go. And then fast forward, I took 2 years away from Christianity, and I thought I was going to do the spiritual but not religious thing. I just thought I wouldn't follow a particular religion. I would just be spiritual and do my own thing because I still believed in God. I've never been an atheist, just based on my own life experiences. But that didn't work because I'm somebody also neurospicy, but somebody who needs accountability, but also somebody who likes being in fellowship with other people. And so the aspects of Christianity that I missed was the going to church, being in fellowship with other Christians, Bible study, being able to talk about these things, stay on track in terms of my faith. And so I started my journey of trying to find another faith and another religion. And it took me another couple of years or so. And I started like Ray, looked at all kind of things. I looked at Islam, I looked at Buddhism, I looked at just anything that I could find, Jainism, Rastafarianism. I went back to African spiritualities and spiritual practices. I mean, everything, like Wicca. I looked at everything. I looked at a lot of them. I looked at multiple ones, right? Anything that I could get my hands on, I looked at and I read, and a lot were easy to say, nope, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. But there were a few that were like, maybe. And I was really close with Islam. And then I sort of gave up. I don't know why in that search, Sikhi never came up, but it didn't. Of all the ones that I was like looking at and Googling, and Sikhi never came up. And so, rounding the corner of the conclusion of my how did I find Sikhi, I took a quiz because I was so frustrated, and I was like, I don't know what I guess there's no religion for me. I don't want to just choose one or convert to one just to say I did. So I had given up, and when I Googled, how do you know what religion you should be? Something like that, right? And a quiz popped up, and I said, might as well take this quiz. I was, again, not being serious about it, but it was more sophisticated than like your typical BuzzFeed quiz, for those who remember BuzzFeed quizzes. And it was asking me what I believed, how important those beliefs were, and do you believe this or do you believe this? And is this belief important? Is this thing important? Like, how do you believe it? What do you think about the concept of heaven and hell? All these things. And I answered the question, and it gave you a list, like a ranking of all the different religions that sort of were compatible with your beliefs. And Sikhi was up there. Like the first two were something weird, like Unitarian something. Quakerism was up there, and Sikhi was up there. And I was like, Sikhi? Like the brown folks with the turbans? No way. There's no way. Because in my mind, I don't know what I thought, right? But I was just like, no, that's like an ethno religion. Why would that match what I believe? No, that doesn't make sense. And so I didn't dismiss it. I took the quiz 2 more times because I just didn't believe it. And Sikhi kept coming up in the top 3. I said, well, I guess I might as well Google Sikhi. What is this thing? Mind you, it didn't say Sikhi, it said Sikhism. And I Googled it, and I was like, this is not real. Like, this isn't the actual, this is too good to be true. This is not the actual religion. Like, this is not real, because this is what I've been asking God for. I told God what I needed, and this is it. And there's no way it's that perfect. There's no way it matches that perfectly. It's not possible. I know they hate Black people, and they're going to say no Black people allowed. That's it. And that is not what I found. In fact, I found the opposite, that equality was a major thing. Social justice was a major thing. Something that I've always said is my purpose, being a servant and advocacy and social justice have always been major things to me as somebody born with a disability and chronic illness, who has been an advocate since I was 7, 3rd grade. That's how I found it. And I looked into it some more and more, and I gave myself a buffer period. And then I went to Gurdwara, and I found my mentor, who was a Black woman who'd been practicing Sikhi since the 70s. And she took me under her wing, and I found my buddy Ara, and that's how so I started practicing. And then I found a community online of other Sikhs, mostly Punjabi Sikhs, but then I found the Black Sikhs. I found Surma initially up there, and I found some of his content, and I reached out to Surma. That was one of the first people I reached out to, but he didn't respond right away. He never saw my message. It wasn't until like 2 years later that both of us were at an event that he saw me and was like, oh, another Black Sikh. And I was like, yes, I messaged you a long time ago. I didn't say that. But then he was like, oh, what's your username? And I was like, I told him. And then he went to go message me and was like, oh, I just saw this message from 2 years ago. And I was like, yeah, I messaged you 2 years ago. I just thought he was too fat because he had a YouTube channel at the time, and he had a whole bunch of followers, and like everybody loved him. He was like low-key famous. He was like the Black Sikh, right? Like the Black Sikh, like the token Black Sikh, for better or for worse, right? And that's not me shading him. We've talked about this. We have a whole episode about tokenism. Okay. I just thought he was like too famous for me. And I was like, well, his DM's probably flooded. I mean, he's famous. What can I say? And so when he finally reached back out, I was like, yeah, I'm in there. And Yeah, so I've known him since then. That was like back in 2018, something like that. And I converted back in 2015, 2016, something like that. So yeah, that's how I found it. Very different ways. I will say neither of us found it through HO. If that's what you guys were wondering or worried about, that is often what a lot of people.
I didn't even know what that was.
Yep. Yep. Anything else? Jay Singh 80 says, "Oh, nice. I'm in the Bay also in Union City." Told you. Told you. Did I just say I was like Union City, Fremont, huge South Asian population, huge Sikh population? Yep. I had a friend. I had a friend who lived in Union City. I wasn't even all the way aware that there were a lot of Sikhs out there until I met a friend who's not Sikh but is Indian, and I was learning Hindi at the time, and I tweeted. This is a random funny story, but I was learning Hindi because I went through a major depressive episode where I was watching nothing but Bollywood movies on Netflix, and I had watched all the Bollywood movies on Netflix. I was out and I went to
You're
Europe.
awesome.
Anyways, yeah, I had watched all the Bollywood movies and I realized I started to understand some of the Hindi and I was like, oh, well, I could be, if I wonder how much more I could learn if I was intentional about it. So I got a tutor. But before then, I tweeted out, anybody want to help me learn Hindi? She thought I was joking. So she responded, I got you. And I was like, cool, where are you at? And she was like, well, I work here, which happened to be literally right down the street from my parents' house, which is where I was living at the time when I just moved back to California. And she was like, oh, I thought you were joking. And I was like, I wasn't. So we met up. And long story short, we ended up becoming friends instead of tutor or student. Because we ended up talking Bollywood and blah, blah, blah. She's trying to teach me, but we just kept getting sidetracked talking about Bollywood. And then I went to her house as like a going away party because she was moving back to India with her husband. And it wasn't until I started like hanging out with her out there that I was like, holy crap. I went to her apartment complex and I was like, am I in India? Am I still in California? I saw nothing but South Asian folks the entire time I was there, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! This is awesome!" So, yeah. Granor said, "I'm not gonna lie. I would love to join this podcast, and I would love to talk to you." Okay, come on, join. Hit us up. You got to get on YouTube though. If you get on YouTube, I'll send you the link to join, or on Discord, whatever. If you wanna hop on with it. Again, we're just here tonight discussing the things that we love about Sikhi, the things that make that out all the good things that outweigh the not so great things, the positive aspects that outweigh the challenges. Why our love for Sikhi is stronger. So if you want to hop on tonight, you're welcome to do so. We'll send you the link, and you can hop on for a couple minutes, no problem.
I want to say this for myself too, if I can, real quick, because this also combats a little bit, or is opposite of what we talked about before with some of the critical things we talked about. Because you made me think about it when you mentioned someone reaching out and saying that they would be willing to teach you. When I first hopped on Twitter and first started talking about my journey and everything else, and I've asked questions about, Gurmukhi and everything, anything else I've discussed or I've questioned. When I tell you that people come out of the woodworks, the support that I've gotten from people that want to teach you something, that want to give you resources, like I've had, for every negative comment that I may see, I've had like 10 to 15 people that are supportive and want to give information, want to teach, have you checked this out? Have you seen this? Hey, do you know
You mean
anything?
about Sikhi or about
Yes,
learning
yes.
Hindi? Oh, I
About
thought you
about
were talking about me learning Hindi. Okay,
Oh
okay,
no,
okay.
about Sikhi. I've had people straight up hop on Discord and other things like that. And especially when I first started trying to put together my accommodation that I was working on for the military to wear my turban, I had two different Sikhs reach out to me to help me put together my documentation for some good ideas of things to say in my religious accommodation thing. So I've got nothing but support.
Nice. That's what's up. You mean specifically support about learning about Sikhi,
Yes,
which
yes.
is awesome because I think you. I don't know. Have you been in Denver the whole time you've been practicing Sikhi? No, because you were in Texas, right? Or
I'm in Colorado Springs. I'm about an hour or two
I mean,
out
I
from.
meant to say Colorado, not Denver. I don't know
Yeah,
why I said Denver. I was thinking about
it's
the state, but
close.
I said the city. But
I wish I was in Denver. The Gurdwaras there is a lot bigger and it's a lot more accessible, but it's too far for me.
Okay, I'm gonna run through a few comments, and then we're gonna answer them. And again, if you would like to join us, you're welcome to do so. You can send me a DM. I'm saying me. I don't know why I said me. Send us a DM to the Black and Sick Instagram page, and we will send you back the link to join. Or you can hop on YouTube, and we'll send a link that way. I'm gonna run through these comments. I'm gonna just run through them, and then we'll come back and answer the questions. Okay, so So we just answered the question from Jay Singh. How are you introduced to discovered Sikhi? Let's see. Jay Singh says, "Oh, nice. I'm in the Bay also. LOL in Union City. Yep. I'm from the Bay Area, by the way. I don't know if I made that clear, but born and raised in the Bay Area, East Bay. Actually, San Lorenzo / Hayward / Oakland. So that's really, really close to Union City. Union City is where we would go for like the movies, to birthday dinner at Fuddrucker, stuff like that. So it's right in my backyard. Yeah, we'll see if anybody wants to join. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Azad Singh 34296, maybe emotional listening to your to your story. Jay Singh 80 says the Sikh and Punjabi identity is so intertwined, history and everything. How do you approach that? For me, it's still hard to keep them separate. Wondering how you guys think about it. Yeah, this is something we've talked about before. I don't know about in depth on a live stream. We've definitely talked about it in a couple of podcast episodes, but we will talk about it again. If you guys are familiar with Rupa, if you're not familiar, Rad Rupa, I think is her username. I don't know if it has any numbers. I think it's just Rad Rupa or Rad.Rupa or something like that. If you're not following Rupa, oh my goodness, you should. I learned so much from Rupa. Like every time I watch just a single piece of content, I will have learned something new. And when I came back to social media, when we started this project, I was just like eating up her content. I was just binging it, like, oh my God, and just learning so much. So anyways, if you're not following Rupa, you should. This is something we've talked about with Rupa. So we'll answer that question. And then Ganor said, because I'm born into a Sikh family and I would love to talk to y'all. I would just like to say, I really appreciate how you worded that. Because a lot of people will say, like, I was born Sikh. And, no shade. I don't feel like anybody is born a part of any religion. I think that's something you have to choose for yourself. And so I often say, like, I wasn't born Christian. I was born into a Christian family and I was raised Christian. Or I will say somebody was born into a Sikh family and raised Sikh. So I don't know. There's just something I just wanted to point out. What else? Okay, I think that's it. Oh, and then Jason Singh says, did you guys watch non-Punjabi? We have not. And that's because we were thinking about doing a watch party. We didn't know if anybody else would want to join, if anybody else was interested, curious. But I really want to see it. And I'm trying to wait because I really want to do like a watch party or maybe like some type of reaction. I think it's kind of long, so we might have to do it in parts. But I was thinking like just taking a weekend to do it, like a couple nights and split it up into 2 or 3 parts, depending on how long it is. Do it on Discord. Again, we do have a Black and Sikh Discord. It is currently
because I'm not familiar.
Hang on one second. We do have a Black and Sikh Discord. It is so if you want to join the server, let us know. It's currently invite only and in beta. So I'm thinking that if we do a watch party, it will probably be there, maybe on Twitch, but it'll probably be in Discord where we do the watch party if you want to do it. What were you saying, Ray?
I would say I need to check that out for sure because I'm not familiar. I'm down to watch it, but I haven't heard of it.
Remember, you were on the live stream when they mentioned it. They were talking about Guru Nanak's journey and story or whatever, and we were trying to think of the name of the movie, and somebody dropped the name, and then that's the movie. Remember we were talking about that?
Okay, so, yeah, we do need to watch that.
Okay, yeah. Samar Core 147 says, how did y'all find out about Sikhi? We literally just answered that question. So if you want, I would suggest hopping on YouTube because then you can rewind. Jason 80 says, I need to drop off, but this is awesome. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate you stopping by. No problem. We are on YouTube. We're on YouTube. So we're live streaming on YouTube right now. And you can actually go back and catch what you've missed. Usually if I miss the first part of a live stream, I will change the playback speed to like 1.5 or 2x speed, and then I will catch up. I would encourage you to do that. I just don't want to repeat it again for everybody who just heard it. I don't want to do that to them. Let's see. Ganor says, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If I'm not, I deeply apologize. I really hate people mispronouncing my name, so I apologize. As a 17-year-old, I'm still learning about Sikhi, and I would love to learn something new from each other. I think that's what you're saying. My apologies. If not, if I messed that up. So let me see. Ray, are you logged into the Instagram, the Black and Sikh Instagram? I don't want to. Oh, you're saying the spot on. Yes. Nice. Okay. All right. So do you want to answer some? Let's get back to answering some of these questions. Let's see if we can. Okay. Oh, I see something in here that says decolonial something. Yes, decolonial. Yes, decolonize. Oh, decolonial Black. Yes, decolonize. That's a whole other topic we should talk about. Decolonizing Sikhi. Yes. I don't know if y'all know what that means, but yes. I think a prime example is just the the reason that we say Sikhi instead of Sikhism. A lot of people don't know this, but like Sikhism is what colonizers decided they wanted to call it. That's not what it's actually called. You won't see that anywhere in the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, or you won't see that anywhere. No, none of the gurus said Sikhism. It's not a thing. That's an English bastardization of the name. So if you notice, we will always use Sikhi. The only time you will see Sikhism is if we have to use the hashtag, which Nub is absolutely right about that, about the hashtag. It's important to use that so we can reach the right people. But we should totally talk about decolonizing and what that means, because a lot of people don't understand it. But yeah, let's see.
Talking to a couple of our viewers too, it seems there's quite a few people that are definitely that's a lot of people that are wanting to have that conversation. But I've even seen that on Twitter. There's a lot of people that are kind of talking about that right now. So I definitely understand why
talking about
that decolonizing Sikhi.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, just to be clear, nobody said it. I just saw the name, and that was just something I brought up. Okay. I just saw somebody in there that has the name Decolonial Black, and I just saw decolonize or decolon, and I was like, ooh, and it caught my attention. So nobody said anything, but that was just me kind of bringing that up. Okay, so let's get into this one. The Sikh and Punjabi identity is so intertwined, history and everything. How do you approach that? For me, it's still hard to keep them separate. Wondering how you guys think about it. So Jay Singh had to drop off, but we still wanted to answer this question, or still wanted to approach this a little bit, and we can actually weave this or sort of merge this into the topic for today's stream, which is our love for Sikhi is stronger, and all the positive things that we love about Sikhi, the things that outweigh like any of the challenges that we may face. Ray, do you want to touch on this a little bit? Specifically, how do we approach the fact that, the blurring of the lines between culture and religion, the fact that it's so intertwined, history and everything, the fact that it is an ethno-religion, and again, there are multiple definitions of ethno-religion. When it comes to language, you sort of have to just figure out, when there are multiple definitions, you have to figure out which is the one that makes the most sense for you and choose that. And I choose ethno-religion. It makes the most sense to me. Okay. I love the way that Rupa has explained it. At least 97% of Sikhs are Punjabi, right? Not all Punjabis are Sikh, not all Sikhs are Punjabi, but at least 97% of Sikhs are Punjabi. And so that to me makes it an ethno-religion, because there is so much overlap. And yes, Guru Nanak absolutely wanted the faith practice to spread beyond Punjab. That's why he traveled to so many places to spread his teaching and his message. And so we know that even though it was, I love the way Sorma said this, even though it was started in Punjab, it is not finished in Punjab. Sorma got some, if Sikhi has had some preachers, Sorma would be that dude, right? I'm gonna tell y'all, if y'all haven't seen the episodes with Sorma, you really need to go back. Sorma got some gems, okay? One of the things he said was that even though Sikhi was born in Punjab, Sikhi doesn't mean that Sikhi is finished in Punjab. And that is just based on Guru Nanak's own teachings and his own desire for this faith practice and his message. So, I'm just saying, how do you approach, and if you can tie into our love for Sikhi is stronger, how do you approach the blurring of the lines between culture and religion? How do you approach practicing an ethno-religion where most of the practitioners are of a certain ethnicity, and so much of the culture sort of bleeds into the practice of the religion? What do you think about that?
So for me personally, I've always been a person that has had a love for cultures in general anyway. Mm-hmm. So that being said, I can love and respect your culture. But at the same time, because of the fact that I said that I'm also a person that's like I said, how I was with Christianity, I'm so hard in. And that means when it comes to doctrine and everything else like that. So whereas I can look at and respect the culture, I'm actually digging into the doctrine too, though. I want to look in and see what the Guru said. I want to look in and see what the Guru Granth Sahib says. So I'm looking at all of that. And because of that, I can differentiate, because I have a respect for the culture as well. I'm looking at that and immediately going, okay, well, this is part of the culture and I kind of dig it, but I don't see that anywhere in here. And that's how I differentiate it personally.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit easier for me to sort of see those lines of, culture and religion. It requires knowing the religion, knowing the faith practice pretty well. It also helps to have other converts, other non-Punjabi Sikhs that you can kind of go to and confirm when you're wondering and questioning. And I'm lucky enough that I have so many different types of Sikhs in my life, older, younger than me, those who've been practicing longer, regardless of age. new Sikhs. And the reason even new Sikhs are so helpful and can teach you so much is because they come in with fresh eyes, right? They come in at a different period and place in their life, and they see things differently, and they might catch something that you may have missed. Or I just love it. I would absolutely just say surround yourself with other Sikhs, as many as possible, folks who want to stay true to Sikhi, to the Guru's intentions. That's something that Ray and I spoke about recently when we were working on the black hair episode and trying to figure out if black hair is compatible with Sikhi and compatible with the directive to keep Kes is just one example, right? Like, how much of this is culture, how much of this is faith or religion, and where's the line for us? What makes the most sense for us? Like, it says don't cut your hair, but if we don't trim our ends, that's a recipe for disaster. It says do this and don't do this, and it says to use the ganga this many times a day, or to do this with the ganga, and especially if you're a Khalsa. But for us, if we use that ganga, we're potentially going to cause some damage to our hair. We're going to mess things up or make it more detangled. Or somebody like me who has locks, comb what? What am I combing? Like, I would not be, if I comb my hair, I would be combing my locks out, which is not something that I want to do. So trying to figure out which part is culture, which part is faith. And then even if it is faith, how much of it is like, do we need to figure out the spirit of the message and like the intent behind it? And how much do we need to adhere strictly to this thing in a very rigid way, right? Like, there are some Black Sikhs who say, hey, no cutting means no cutting. So if my hair is damaged, if my ends are split, if my ends are dead, they're just dead. I'm not cutting my hair. And to that, I say, I respect that, right? Because Sikhi is an individual practice, and you have to practice it for yourself. And it's not my job or anybody else's to tell you how to practice it, just like I don't want anybody else to tell me how to practice it. Giving me advice, asking questions, trying to understand, absolutely. But saying, don't do this, don't do that. You can't wear a do-rag. It has to be a turban. You can't wear that kind of turban, though. It has to be that kind of turban. No. So that's how I do it, with the help of other Sikhs. And to me, that goes right back to my love for Sikhi is stronger. The community, the fellowship, having other Sikhs that we can talk to and go to, and the way that we're all so different and can practice it slightly differently. And like the fact that our Sikh practice doesn't look like everybody else's. There's a uniqueness to it. Oh, love it. Love it. I love it. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me get this banner is kind of covering Ray, but I don't know if that's I don't know if that's just on my view or yeah, that's a little better. Thank you, Kimmy. That's a little better. I was trying to figure out if that's just me showing that or not. Okay, let's see what else we got. What's the next question from IG? How did y'all find out? I got to drop off this. Awesome. You're saying it's spot on. Thank you, Gurnor. I wasn't sure if I was saying. Have y'all celebrated Vaisakhi before? So I'm going to pin this comment. Have y'all celebrated Vaisakhi before? So there's a couple of ways I see it. Vaisakhi with a V, and a Vaisakhi with a V. And yes, the very first year that I practiced, that I converted, I went to Vaisakhi in LA, here in LA. And that's actually where I got this gutta. And it's funny because despite going there and having on a turban and being with, a bunch of other Sikhs, I walked up to this booth that was selling the guttas, and I picked one out and I said, oh, I would like this. And they didn't want to sell it to me. I know this is supposed to be only positive experiences. I know it's supposed to be only positive stories. I promise I'm not going to get too deep into it. But that's the thing that I remember from Vaisakhi, that it was like possibly the first time where I had to sort of like prove or like convince somebody that I was Sikh, because I was just trying to buy a gutta, my first one, and they were like, do you know what this is? Why do you want it? Like, do you know what it means? It means something important to us. Like, you can't just have it just to have it. It's not just jewelry, like full on lecture. And I was like, I know there's a reason I'm here wearing a turban. Like, I know, dude. But long story short, same one. I've been wearing it this whole time. I have to be mindful. My hands are really small. My wrists are small. So I try not to wear a huge chunky one. And I never take this off. The only time I've had to take it off is when I've been in the hospital and had to do some type of like test or procedure where, you can't have on jewelry. Other than that, I keep it on.
Speaking of the
what about you?
Speaking of the kata, real quick before I go forward, I bought my own originally from online, and I'm such a goofball that I went online because I was trying to measure it outright to make sure I had a good one, because I wouldn't get to try it on and test it out. So I went and I just measured my wrist, and I have pretty small wrists. So I get one that comes in the mail, and I'm like, okay, great, I'm gonna put it on. Well, my knuckles were definitely too big for that thing.
Oh, snap.
So
So you
I'm
couldn't get it
sitting
on?
there. Oh no, I ended up ordering this one I have now because I was like, why didn't I think of that? It has to go over my knuckles.
Wait. What do you mean your knuckles? Oh,
Well,
like if you make a fist.
yeah,
Oh.
I couldn't get
Oh,
it
I
on. It
see.
wouldn't go over my knuckles. And I was like,
Oh,
why
I
did I
see. I
only
see.
measure my wrist? What was I
Oh, I get
thinking?
it. I get it. So it could fit over your wrist, but you couldn't get it that far because your knuckles were too big because you got big giant man hands. I got you. And I
Hmm.
got toddler hands. Not an issue I typically have. I do have really small hands, y'all. I don't know if you can tell, but that's not an issue I typically have. I wouldn't
Well,
even thought of that's why it took me a second. I was like, what do you mean your knuckles? Because I was thinking about it like this. Like, like I don't know why I was thinking about it, but I was just like, why wouldn't it go over your knuckles? I don't understand. This is not a ring, Ray. Like, what are you saying? Okay. It's just because I got small hands. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
sorry. And
And
that's trust me, that's
and
not a flex. Having small hands is weird.
it was so funny to me. I was like, you doofus. Like, I don't know why I just thought, yeah, just measure your wrist. That's good enough.
Right,
Like,
right, right. Okay, so Ray, have you been to Baisaki before?
I have not. I would love to, but because of where I am here, like I said before, the population isn't that large, and I'm not. When I was in Houston, heck yeah, I would have had those opportunities. But when I was in Texas, I wasn't yet sick, so yeah, I haven't gotten a chance yet. But I
Okay,
hope to
so
soon.
Baisaki is coming up in LA. So you and Reggie trying to come out here for Baisaki in April and like kick it. I got like 3 couches here, bro, an extra bedroom. I'm saying like tell the army I'm gonna be gone for a long weekend.
I could put in some leave. I actually could.
I'm
I have some leave.
saying that would be perfect. Then we meet up in person for the first time. We go to Baisaki, which is not too far from here. It's I think they're having it probably at the convention center again, which is not too far from me. I'm like 15, 20 minutes from downtown LA. It's actually closer than the Gurdwara is, but you could also go to the Gurdwara, I
I'm
don't
gonna have
know.
to take you up. I think I'm gonna have to take you up on that.
You need to, bro. You need to. Then I won't have to go by myself. I mean, I probably won't go by myself again because I probably go with Ara because like I know people this time. The first time I went by myself because I didn't really know anybody for real, and I'm an introvert, so I'm not good at making friends like that.
Mhm.
But and you can meet Ara too. You talk to
Yeah.
Ara. Yeah, you should do that. You Reggie come out here, or just you if Reggie don't want to come. Whatever. But you guys are both welcome. You guys are both welcome. I got a guest room. It's
He
always
might be
open.
working, but if anything, yeah, I might take you up on that.
Okay. I'm gonna hold you to it. All right. So let's see. So that answers that question. Samarkor147 says I'm born in Malaysia, but I still identify as a Sikh Punjabi. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Um, they also said Sikhi is a very open and understanding religion. Each individual has his or her own connection with God, so don't worry and just let Waheguru guide you. I
Yes,
1,000% agree with that. Like
yes.
Samar, I 100% agree. That's like we just said. Your practice with Sikhi is your own personal practice, right? And it's not my job to tell anybody else what their practice should look like. Just like I don't want them to tell me what my practice should or shouldn't look like. And again, I always say lead with curiosity as opposed to an accusation. Instead of telling people what they should and should not do, maybe ask why they're doing that thing or tell me more. Or again, lead with curiosity type thing. I always want feedback. I always say like criticism is my kink. I probably shouldn't say that on this live, but I say it because like I always want to be better. I always want to do better. And so I absolutely want feedback. I just want people to be mindful of like that blurring the lines of culture and religion, that maybe there's a reason that I'm doing this thing. There's a reason I don't wear a turban because it looks weird. I look like freaking Erica Badu. If you guys aren't familiar with Erica Badu, just Google like Erica Badu, Badu in a head wrap, and you will see her head wrap is like this tall, like and that's what mine looks like. I kept saying I'm gonna find a picture, and maybe I will try to find a picture, but it just looks so silly with my locks up top up here. It's just I can't do the Rishi knot. Like I can't. It just looks funny, bro. And so I really had to ask those questions. But again, that's what I love about Sikhi. That goes back to my love for Sikhi being stronger because I was able to like work through that and be like, okay, it makes me feel this type of way. I'm feeling this. Da da da. This is coming up. I'm learning this about myself. And then I was able to go to people and ask, okay, when we're supposed to cover our hair, does it mean we have to do it like this? When they say to cover it, does it say a turban specifically? No. Okay. Does it say this? Does it say this? So can I do something that's more culturally appropriate? Okay. So a do-rag is more closely aligned with Black culture. Can I do that? I love that. I love that. Whereas like a lot of times when with something like Christianity, it's like, nope, we said do A. We said do A, B, and C. You must do A, B, and C. If you don't do A, B, and C, you're not right. It's wrong, and I don't love that. I don't love that. So I love that aspect of Sikhi.
Well, I've also
Judge, go ahead, go ahead.
I was about to say, I've seen back when I looked at some things here and there in the subreddit group for Sikhi. I've seen where definitely been like some people from continental Africa that have asked questions about their style of turban to tie, and I've definitely saw people respond affirmatively that yeah, if there's a style that's culturally more yours, then it's still a turban, it's still a wrap, you're still wearing it. That nowhere does it say that you specifically have to tie it this way. By all means, go
Mhm.
ahead and tie the style that's from where you're from. I've seen it tied. I've seen people wear it in more of an Afghan style and everything else. So
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the decolonizing topic, right? Because something I just learned again from Sorma, I've learned so much from Sorma in just the last few months, but something that was also confirmed by Ara and a couple other people was that the style of turban, the style of that we know that we most closely associate with Sikhs, is
British.
not even the original style. That's not even the style that the Gurus wore, right? Like the Gurus, from my understanding, were like the more of the Mala style, but the British decided that this style with the folds, the one that Ray is wearing now, was neater, right? And so this looked better, right? And so I think again it goes back to personal preference, like however you decide that you want to wear it. I know I remember seeing somebody who had a style of turban that I was like, oh, that's how I want my turban to look, and you can actually see it. I'm wearing. In a lot of the videos where you do see me wearing a turban, that's the style that I prefer. But again, it doesn't look like that. If I put my hair up here in a knot, it doesn't look like that because my knot is like, you can't tell y'all, but it just looks funny. So I don't do that
I
anymore.
love the Damala,
Oh,
but I haven't gotten it yet to a place on me where I think it looks good, but I actually love it. So I'm still practicing
yeah.
that or working on it.
Also, speaking of people on in continental Africa, people on the continent, Kenya is a place where there are a lot of Sikhs actually, and we
Mhm.
can deal with like the history of that later. But there are a lot of Sikhs on the continent, or in Kenya specifically, and so I can imagine that if somebody says, "Hey, can we wear a style of turban that is more closely aligned with our particular culture here in this part of Africa?" That yeah, that would make perfect sense to me. Yeah, 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 love it. All right, we do have a question. Let's see. As someone who was actively learning Gurmukhi for the first time, what has your experience been in regards to reading the Guru Granth Sahib Ji? Um, English, English. That's not what the question is. The question is what has our experience been? Um, Interesting. I don't know. I've never thought of how to answer that question. Ray, if you have an answer already, you
I
can
do.
you
I do.
can jump in while I think.
So for me, I've been a bit of a struggle bus, specifically because of the fact that for me to definitely sit down and really learn new languages or anything else like that, it's definitely going to take quite a bit of time for me to really, really be able to sit down and solely focus on that. And with where my career has been right now and all the things that it has me going through to do everything, I haven't been able to give the time and love and dedication to it that I hope to be able to soon, because I definitely want to learn it. But right now, it's been the same for me. I've had to kind of rely on English for now because I believe that as long as you can kind of get the message and at least be learning to some degree, because I think that's important for everyone. That's why I often mention, I say, hey, at least read it in English for now. But it's with the hope that your love for it grows enough to where you do want to eventually learn it. And that's what I do want to do. I just have to make sure that I have the time to set aside because I want to make sure that I'm learning it accurately. I want to make sure that I'm learning and growing on my pronunciation of everything. Like that's one of the things that me and Smalls talk about often. I appreciate that here and there I'll say things incorrectly and Smalls will let me know. She's like, "Hey, you said that wrong." I love that because I
I don't
want.
say it like that, y'all. I don't say it like that. I don't be like, "Hey, you said that wrong." I don't do that, but
Yeah,
I
no,
do try to help out. I do try to
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
because it is so different, right? It's easy to see the vowels and say them in the way that you would hear in English or even Spanish,
Hmm.
right? Which is another or a Latin derived language. Um, and that's
That's
what I
what I
was.
do because I know Spanish, so I have a major tendency to pronounce things to in a way that it would be more Latin than anything.
Right. So that was one of the first things that I picked up. Now, I tend to have, so what I'm about to say in terms of my experience with Gurmukhi and learning or reading the Guru Granth Sahib Ji is twofold here, right? One is from the perspective of somebody who has, I don't know if you would call it a privilege, but I do have an affinity for languages, just in that, like, I love languages. Picking up languages tends to be pretty easy for me, which is, like I said, when I was watching Bollywood, I started to realize unintentionally I was just picking up stuff. Believe it or not, the first word that I realized that I knew was Zindagi, right? It's so weird that I was like, oh, I know what that means now. And then I would hear another word, I'd be like, oh, I know what that word means now. And so but again, I'm the same neurospicy kid who read the dictionary for fun, right? Like, I used to keep a dictionary about this thin, like notebook size, in my car, just to read it. Like, it's a thing that like eases my anxiety. Like, I asked for Hooked on Phonics as a kid when I was already able to read. Like, Hooked on Phonics was supposed to be for if you were struggling to read. I just wanted to advance my read. I was just weird in that way. Let me not say weird, but I've always loved language and words. And like I always said, if I ever went back to school for anything, it would be to study linguistics in a more formal way. If you guys are familiar with Sun Michel, Sunnmceaux, I think. He's his ethnicity is Gullah, and he teaches so much about that. I am somebody who is a proponent of AAVE being recognized as a language. I always say that AAVE is my first language, English is my second language. I love languages. So in the one sense, I absolutely plan to learn Gurmukhi, right? In the other sense, I'm also somebody who's an advocate for, you don't need to learn Gurmukhi or Punjabi or anything else to practice Sikhi, because I am mindful of people's. I'm mindful of accessibility. I'm mindful that people struggle with it. I'm mindful that not everybody has the same, affinity for language as I do, right? And it might be something that's a struggle. And I don't want that to be something that deters people from practicing Sikhi,
Yes.
because I remember when I was first learning, I came across several people who basically said, well, if you don't know Gurmukhi, you can't ever really fully grasp the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Like, you can never fully practice Sikhi, sort of diminishing or invalidating the experiences of those who read the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, but in English, right? And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I think that is, it reeks of ableism, right? And so I want to be mindful that, like, as much as I want to and plan to learn Gurmukhi at some point, it is not the top 1, 2, number 3 priority for me. I have been able to read it and understand and really, I mean, I feel get the message and really embrace it without it. But I do think that knowing and understanding, because not everything is going to have a 1-to-1 translation, right? It's the same thing with Spanish. Like, if there's ever something, AAVE too, right? This happens all the time. Like, how many times have you said something in AAVE and then somebody not understand it? Now you got to figure out how to translate it, because there's really no direct translation, right? Like, you're like, oh, I was trying to say no, or you might want to say I'm trying to think of an example. Like, if you were like, oh, that's silly, and I go, not silly, right? Like, somebody might take that like literally and say that I think that I'm saying not silly, when really I'm sort of saying something else. I'm saying, oh, not, you didn't say silly, right? Again, it might be difficult to explain and translate. So that's not to dismiss or say that there's not additional meaning to be gleaned from being able to read the Guru Granth Sahib Ji in Gurmukhi or in its original text. I think there is. I think there's value in that, absolutely. And so that's on the list. It's just not a priority for me. I would like to learn. I would like to get better. I would like my Hindi to be better, and then moving on to Punjabi. Actually, Hindi, and then I really want to relearn American Sign Language, and then Punjabi.
Okay.
Not that order. Spanish, ASL, Hindi, Punjabi, Gurmukhi. That's a lot of languages. I'm working on it. There's a lot of languages, but that's that. Kind of spent too long on that. But again, that's another like fascinating thing that I love about Sikhi, like the opportunity to learn new languages and discover new meanings and like peel back these layers and layers. Oh, love it.
Like an onion. Onions have layers.
Guru Noor said, I might have to come up to LA and join y'all. Not going to lie. Where are you? I don't know. First of all, you said you're 17. You already got some of our team members worried with you being a minor. So, Guru Noor, we're going to have to talk. We're going to have to talk. You can't get us in trouble. Let's find out where you are. Somebody else said, come to Calgary, Canada. Baisakhi being celebrated May 11th. Oh, nice.
I want
I wanted to go to
so
Canada.
bad.
Yeah, exactly. I want to go to Canada. We got plenty of people in Canada. Rupa's up there. I got Mango Lassie. I don't know if you guys are familiar. One of my favorite drag queens is up there.
Unk is up there.
Who?
Our viewer that I've been
yeah.
that we call Unk Majid.
Yeah. We got a couple reasons to go to Canada. We're gonna have to make a trip. We might do like a little world tour. Let's see. Casper the Friendly Bull. Sorry, I didn't expect that name. I'm sorry. I didn't expect the name. I just started reading the name and I did not expect the name. I'm so sorry. Casper the Friendly Bulldog says.
I like it. I dig it. Good one. That's a good name. Go ahead.
Casper the Friendly Bulldog says, sorry. It says true. You can tie a turban any way that suits you, even from Punjab. There's many ways to tie it. Yes, absolutely, that's true. They also said the pointy one though is called. Oh, I can't see it because now I'm crying because I was laughing. Patiala Shai. I can't see that. I don't know if that's an I or L. I apologize. Patiala Shai, but the English brought the pointy one in because it was nicer in pics. The original style is the gold Damala style. Okay, yeah. Turban is not required. I'd say it's more the keeping of Kesh, Kara, Ganga, Kasha, Gurban. Yeah. Everybody's got different interpretations of that. Let's see what else we got. As a person who grew up, go ahead.
I was about to say, that's actually another reason that I'm hoping to eventually get in the company of some other folks, because I would actually love that. I don't know for certain that would be for sure the way that I tie from now, but I would love to get with someone and just have someone else that's been doing it forever just take me under their wing for a second and show me something, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and so I'm very.
You talking about your turban?
Oh yeah, I'm very critical of how I tie it, and everybody's like, "It looks nice."
Can it be me? Call on me.
Okay, yeah.
Because the thing is, you don't have like the hair that gets in the way. Like we can do any style we want, bro. Oh, I got so many styles to show you. Actually, I can show you before you come out here too. I can show you, but like, because I spent a lot of time. You know how much I thought I put into like hair and turban and all that stuff. So I spent a lot of time learning a lot of different styles of tying the turban, and now I don't get to do any of them. Also, I have a bunch of fabric you could probably have. We can talk about this later. I'm sorry. We're off track.
When I get my accommodation, I'll be able to wear mine all the time at work too. And I'm like, I'm trying to be fresh when I show up in my uniform and my turban.
Bro, I got you. And then you can tailor the way you tie it to whatever you're wearing that day, whatever your mood is. You know what I'm saying? You'd be fresh. You'd be like, oh, let me do it like that. Okay. Let's see. As a person who grew up speaking Punjabi, I'm still learning how to read the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Yep, I hear that from a lot of Punjabi Sikhs. That's another reason that I don't beat myself up or try to pressure anybody else about needing to learn Gurmukhi or even Punjabi to practice Sikhi, because I hear that all the time from Punjabi Sikhs, you know, especially like second generation or those born and raised in Canada or in the West somewhere, Canada, US, UK. I hear that a lot. So I appreciate you saying that. English preaching of Sikhi is how I got into the faith. I think it's really important, especially in the West. Basics of Sikhi really helped me understand more about the religion and our gurus. Yeah, I won't speak too much on the basics of Sikhi. I think it is a lovely resource. We don't exactly agree with their thoughts on queerness, because I believe that when the Guru said equal, he meant everybody, not everybody except queer people. So that's that. Guru said I'm from Calgary as well. Oh, okay. We got a number of people in Canada. That makes sense. We found out recently that most of our audience members are from, what did I say, right? Canada. Our analytics say Canada, UK, Australia, and
Italy.
Those are the main ones outside the US. US is not even number one. It's like number 3 or 4 or something like that, which I find very fascinating. Not super surprising, but very fascinating. Kimmy, am I missing any comments? I feel like, let me go see. Kimmy is our like stage manager back here, helping us with the live stream. Just for those who don't know, did you guys watch Nanak Shah Fakir? We are playing. That is a film about the life of Guru Nanak. And we were thinking about doing like a watch party. If anybody's interested in that, let us know. We were probably going to do it on Discord. And again, we do have a Black and Sick Discord. It is in beta, like invite only. So if you do want an invite, you got to DM us and let us know. But yeah, that's that. What else? Have I missed anything else? I think I got all those comments. No, okay, nope, didn't miss anything else. Okay, cool. All right, any other? I'm gonna check the our DMs to see if anybody else wanted to share. Ray, do you want to give us another example of our or share another experience or another example of the things that, like, something positive that outweighs, some of the challenges that you might face with Sikhi, that fits into our topic, our theme, our love for Sikhi is stronger. For those who are just joining us, that's what we're talking about tonight. We're only going to talk about a little bit more because we've been going for a good while. And we try to keep it to 80 minutes. And I think we were over that time. So we're going to wrap up here just shortly, but I kind of wanted to share maybe one or two last examples of the ways in which our love for Sikhi is stronger, things about Sikhi that make the good outweigh the bad. You got another example?
I do. And this is pretty I mean, it's not super personal, but I will say that it's something that I feel like is something that a lot of people may be able to relate to. Um, for me, I definitely did. Growing up, because of a lot of the things that I experienced, I did experience a lot of really low times where I struggled with myself, my identity, and everything else. And I can say that regardless of everything that I've been through, when I've learned more about Sikhi, that a lot of the teachings in general made me more comfortable with and learn to accept myself and love myself and see, because of the idea of seeing the guru in everything. And so if I had to do that, then I had to see myself in a different light. I had to stop beating myself up and telling and giving myself this negative reinforcement that I gave myself, because it forced me, because of the fact that I firmly did see the guru in everyone else, and I was teaching myself to see that and treat everyone else so well. I had to question myself why I was willing to be more forgiving and nicer to everyone else than I was willing to be to myself.
Got you. Okay.
And
So,
and so to finish that off,
okay.
Sikhi pretty
Yeah, there
much
we go.
did change my honestly, my I'd say my self-confidence and self-worth.
Okay. So yep. So practicing Sikhi has elevated your own self confidence, your self esteem, and your feelings of self worth. I got you. Neuro's pricey brain be taking me a second to get there, but I got you. I'm following. All right. Um. Let's see. There's a couple requests for the Discord. Okay, cool. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I mean, there's so many. Um, I think something that is super important for me is that Sikhi gave me the tools to help me stay grounded, to help me to help with like emotional regulation, right? Like um I've been through like therapy and like all types of therapy, so I've gotten the tools in that sense. Um, but Sikhi gave me a different set of tools to help me ground myself. So even when something is uh, troubling, and this is especially important for me, and I want to be clear about this. So I was born with a chronic illness. I was born with a blood disorder, and the top two triggers for this blood disorder are cold temperatures and stress. So actual like psychological stress, it can trigger physiological symptoms in your body, right? And so being so emotional regulation is very important, right? And I learned at a very early age how to regulate my emotions to prevent flare-ups and triggers of my chronic illness. But that doesn't mean I was processing those emotions. That doesn't mean I was handling that in a healthy way. It just means I was able to regulate very quickly so that I wouldn't be physically triggered by that, right? And Sikhi gave me the tools and really helped make it evident that I wasn't really fully processing those things, right? That I was just emotionally regulating, but sort of suppressing. Like, okay, I can intellectualize this, I'm good. But Sikhi Sikhi has absolutely provided tools that allow me to center myself, to get grounded very quickly. Not always the same amount of time every time, but certainly gives me something to sort of like grasp onto, something to hold on to, something to go fall back on, something that helps me stay grounded in ways that like your five senses tools or your like counting or your breathing deep is just not going to help you do, right? It's something that's a little bit heavier, it's something with a little bit more substance that allows me to ground myself. And I'm like immeasurably grateful for that. Immensely grateful for those tools that Sikhi has provided. Okay. Anything else? Let's see if we got any other comments before we get out of here. Gernor, I think this is like Gernor's like third time like saying bye, but I'm saying that to say I really appreciate you hanging in there and sticking it out with us and joining us tonight. Just said, hey, I gotta I gotta get to sleep, guys. It was nice talking to y'all. Have a great night. Appreciate y'all.
Good night. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Jugjit K says, thanks for the answers. Have a great night. Also, if I ever say anybody's name wrong, you, from now until eternity, you have permission to correct me. In fact, not only do you have permission, I request that you, I plead with you to correct me. I absolutely want to get it right. It also helps me better my language. So if you don't mind, and you catch me saying your name wrong or saying anything wrong, by all means, feel free to correct me, please. Mochaccino, I think it says. Lots of love and Charikala. Appreciate y'all.
Charikala.
All right. Anything else right before we get up out of here?
Nope, I think we are good. I'm just glad that we got to have this discussion. It was very important for the both of us. And I'm sure it was important for a lot of people tuning in. I'm glad that everyone was able to as well. And I'm excited for the people that get to check it out on YouTube afterwards as well and see what more people have to say.
Indeed. Yeah, so we're going to talk about this again next week. We have planned, Boss Attorney Bree is supposed to come on. If all things go according to plan, we are going to make some major changes with Black and Sikh. Hopefully the project will keep going. But I know we're definitely making some major changes. So we'll see. But the plan for now is to have Boss Attorney Bree. If you are not familiar with Boss Attorney Bree, I would recommend you look her up on YouTube, or I believe she's also on Instagram, definitely on TikTok. She is an attorney, as you can imagine from the name. She's going to come in and discuss Black hair and other matters related to Sikhi and sort of give us her legal analysis on that, right? She's not a Sikh. I don't believe she practices any religion, but she's absolutely an attorney that I love watching, and we've been trying to get her on to this platform for a minute. And so we're going to do exactly that. So, oh, wait, hold on. I did miss a comment. Hold on. I did miss a couple comments. Just curious, have y'all went to Nagar Kirtan? To a Nagar Kirtan? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I do not think so. We probably need to. And then we got a comment here. I can't overstate the importance and value of learning ASL from deaf educators. I strongly recommend Dr. Bill Vickers of lifeprint.com and handspeak.com for lessons, resources, and dictionaries. Yeah, I agree with that. One, learning from deaf educators. So there's a program actually out of Canada called Queer ASL. That's a place that I recommend, but also I've heard nothing but great things from Dr. Bill Vickers. I started checking out they actually have a YouTube channel, I believe, as well, if I'm not mistaken, but they definitely have the website lifeprint.com. Definitely recommend that if you are interested in learning ASL. And I recommend anybody and everybody learn ASL. And ASL is not universal. So sign languages are not universal, just like spoken languages are not universal. So if you are in a different place or country, I would recommend you learn the sign language for your area, for your location, for your country. But it's so important. And if you are going to learn, absolutely learn from deaf educators. And then, the next best thing would be from CODA, from children of deaf adults. But if you can find them, if you can't afford them, if you can find them, and if you can afford it, absolutely learn from deaf educators and make sure they're getting paid for their work. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Kimmy. I really appreciate that. Very important thing to say. And thank you for pointing that out. Anything else? I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's it. Karan Sidhu. Karan Sidhu, I think, says, great work, guys. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. We are going to get out of here. Once again, we have a Discord. If you want to find us on Discord, it's in beta only. It's in invite only mode. So you got to reach out for an invite. We'll send you an invite. If you'd like to support the project, this is one reason we're making major changes, just because we have to be able to afford the project, so we're probably going to take a bit of a hiatus just to give those of you who are here right now a sneak preview. We haven't made any final decisions, but we will probably be taking like a long hiatus to just try to rework some things, to try to figure out what we're going to do going forward in a way that's going to be affordable, right? Because again, this has just been running out of me running through my savings, and so we got to figure out a way to make this a sustainable endeavor. But we do appreciate the support. If you would like to donate, or if you know anybody who would, you can hit us up on Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, whatever. BLACKxSIKH is our handle everywhere. Sunsetters Z98 says, I saw your reel about the Black community and the issues with being non-Christian. How did you navigate being Sikhi with your family/community? Ray, do you want to answer this question before we get out of here?
Sure, yeah, most definitely.
This will be the last question. I'll put it like this: no more questions after we answer this. No more questions. So if you do have a question, get it in before we finish answering this one. Otherwise, no more questions. No more questions. So again, the question is: I saw your reel about the Black community and the issues with being non-Christian. How did you navigate being sick? I think they mean sick with your family/community.
Okay.
Ray, go ahead. You can go first. We'll try to, let's see, it's 2020. So we'll try to keep it brief. We know it's late on the East Coast.
Yeah. So for me, to be frank, I discovered Sikhi at a ripe old age. I know I don't look it, but I'm 34 and I'm about to be 35. And I discovered
really Sikhi. I could have swore you was like about 45, 40. I'm just playing. You do not look 34, 35. I was in fact surprised to hear that.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
That melanin.
Oh, yeah. So I discovered Sikhi 2 years ago. So that being said, I've been an adult and out on my own for quite some time. But also, although I was very much involved in going to the church heavily as a child, surprisingly enough, my family wasn't super religious. My grandmother was. My mother wasn't. My mother went to church, but this isn't nothing on mom, but there are those folks that kind of go to the place of worship when things are going wrong. Like when I don't know how I'm gonna pay the bills, or I'm struggling, or this going on. That was mom. Mom was going when I need to go holler at the guy upstairs, So she never really was a consistent goer. I was the kid that was just like all about going. So my family, and my mom's also very, very, she's a very dominant personality, and she's always expected that or been comfortable with that from her kids too. So my mom's kind of like, when I tell her, hey, this is me, this is what's going on, she's like, oh, okay, it works for you, bet. So I really didn't have to deal with any questioning or anything else like that from anybody, because mama's also mama bear. So it's like any decisions I've ever made, basically is mom's like, okay, and what? That's my son. So I've had no problems or no transitions. It's just been the only thing that's been difficult, like I said, is people don't always take it seriously when they don't believe necessarily that I'm a Sikh.
Like other Black people or your family members specifically?
Other Black folks, that's what I run into, or society in general most of the time does.
Okay. Yeah. So I think my situation is similar to Ray's, but for very different reasons. And I know if you want to hear another perspective, Sorma, this is something that Sorma also touches on in a number of episodes. I think in he definitely touches on it in the Cat Black reaction video, which is one of the first episodes we put out, as well as episode, I can't remember, it's episode 1 or 2, but it's on our YouTube channel. So that's a third perspective in addition to the one I'm about to give, which is that, yeah. So a lot of my mom heard, because again, I didn't go from Christian to Sikh. I went from Christian to no religion to Sikh, right? I had that 2 year buffer period. And I believe that the first thing I told my mom was, "Hey, I'm not a Christian anymore. I no longer identify as a Christian. I don't practice Christianity. But don't worry. I still believe in Jesus. I still believe in these things. I still believe the core tenets and principles of Christianity. I'm just not a Christian for a number of reasons." That was then. This is now. And actually, there's a song. I wonder if I should play Job's Diary for them. Maybe we'll play it as we get out of here. But it because it definitely talks about like it speaks to my journey. My mom panicked. I think I don't think she didn't say much, but I could just hear in her lack of response. She was like, "Okay, okay, okay," and so she was kind of panicky. Not really sure what my dad said. And to be honest, it didn't really matter what either one of them said. I had already made my decision. I'm not somebody who makes decisions lightly. I'm somebody who thinks and thinks and thinks and ruminates and ruminates and ruminates. And so once I finally tell somebody, I've thought it out. There's not anything that you can possibly say that I haven't considered. And so it didn't really matter what they said. But yeah, I think they were kind of panicky. And again, a lot of older Black Sikhs very much looked at me like I had a second head. Like I said, I worship the devil, like I was, a Satanist, which most people misunderstand Satanism to think that means you worship Satan. That's not
Yes.
what it means. But anyways, so that's kind of my experience. Most people my age are a little bit more curious. I remember when I was finally told my friends, my close like circle of friends, I was like, I kind of got something to tell you. And they were like, let me guess, you're converting to this. And I was like, how did you know? Like one of my closest friends was like, said that and said, how did you know? And they was like, I just kind of been paying attention to a number of things. And I picked up this clue here and there. And so they were very supportive. And so I'm very lucky to have had that circle at the time, people who were supportive. So that's really been my experience. It hasn't bothered me. I know Storma said something, and I won't share his story because again, if you want to see it, go check it out in the content. But I do know that he had a very different experience than both of us in that he very much felt like he had to traverse two worlds. One, due to a lack of respect, because that's something that can happen when you're dealing with Christians and they feel like their way is the only right way. And so if you're not doing that, whatever you're doing is wrong. Whatever you're doing is heathenish. It is we don't have time to even go down that road.
Yeah.
But the point is that I know that is the experience of some Black Sikhs. I think that Ray and I have just been lucky in that one, we were older when we found Sikhi. I think Ray's only been practicing for a couple years, so Ray and I are really close to the same age. But he's been practicing like a couple years, where I've been practicing since like 8 or 9 years, right? And so I was in my 20s when I finally discovered Sikhi, and so again, it was one of those things where I've been the black sheep of the family. I've been the weird kid of the family. I've been the oddball out of my family my entire life. So by that point, nobody was surprised. Nobody was like, what? Are you serious? Nobody was. They were like, okay, tell us. What do we need to know? Okay, cool. There was a little bit of panic. But I think they also knew there was no reason to try to persuade me otherwise or to try to dismiss it or be disrespectful of it or anything like that. So I haven't had those issues. So yeah, that's that on that. All right, we're out of here. Yeah, indeed. Okay. For real. I wonder if I can find this. If I can find it in the next 60 seconds, I will do it. If I can't, then I won't. This is a song called Job's Diary, is the song that I want to play. I'm gonna see if it makes me log in and it's not gonna work. Oh, I see. I found the page. Can I find the song? Oh, here it is. Now, the question is it going to work? And Kimmy, you could tell me that. I guess if I play it, will it just play the do you know, right? You probably don't know. I don't know. Let's see if this works. I'm going to try to share. And the reason I'm sharing this is because of the last question that was asked in terms of religion and, things of that nature. So let me see. I got it. Sharing. Oh, goodness. Bear with me. I still got about 30 seconds left. I can make it happen. Bear with this. Bear with this. All right, here we go. Oh, I don't know if that's gonna turn off the volume. All right, let's see. What do you see on your end, Ray? All right, tell me if you can hear this. Just pause it. Can you hear it on your end, Ray?
Not yet. No.
No. Oh, I think because I need to. Oh no, that's added. I don't know why. Let me see if I can hear it on this end. I wish I had a way to. Let me see if I can hear it on this end. I can hear it typing though. I wish I had a way to. My bad. Barely saw that. Okay. So I was just saying, can you hear me now? Okay. So I was just saying, Kimmy said the second best option for learning ASL is fluent certified teachers that are actively involved in the deaf community. CODA is a plus, but not recommended as an independent qualification. To be clear, I meant CODAs who are instructors, not random CODAs, not just any child of a deaf adult. I meant so for example, there's a guy on Instagram that I follow he has a program that is about teaching ASL. He is certified, he is an educator, and he happens to be a CODA. So he is not deaf himself, but he is also a CODA. So as in like, that was my suggestion for like next bit. Like if you can't find in your area or have access to somebody who is deaf to teach you ASL, find a teacher or an educator, and then ideally a CODA or somebody who has at least been immersed in it their entire life, right? That's kind of what I meant. CODAs are great for casual learning. So I meant CODAs who are teachers, right? So I've had CODAs who are instructors, not just random CODAs. Like I know CODAs, but it's not their job to teach. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I meant. Okay. Perfect mundo then. Okay, that's it. We're going to get out of here. I keep saying that, but for real. Ray, you got anything else? No, you're muted. So let me just... Okay, I just unmuted you.
Huh? Oh, I said, yeah, I have nothing else for whatever time that you're in or whatever. Good night, good morning, good day, wherever you are.
Indeed. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh. Peace, y'all. We out.